money that we received in 2009 dealing with Missouri State Longitudinal Data System.
The IES grant?
The Missouri State Longitudinal Grant.
Yes.
So that was yours?
Well, it wasn't mine, but yeah.
Okay.
The department received that money, yeah.
So I'm reading here, and it says these systems are intended to enhance the ability of states to efficiently and accurately manage, analyze, and use educational data, including individual students' records. Should help the states, districts, schools, educators, and other stakeholders to make data-informed decisions to improve student learnings and outcome, as well as to facilitate research to increase student achievement and close the achievement gap. So that's what that's saying. In your in your testimony this year, in the past session on Senate Bill 210, you said that it was not DESE's intent to gather private data for dissemination. And that's what I had down in quotes for you. And that really bothered me when I was going home, because that was right before prom, and you know, there's a lot of girls that don't intend to get pregnant, but they do at prom night. And so I'm thinking, intent is not your intent to gather private data for dissemination, but you will? I mean, what do you mean by your quote on that?
Representative, I said I'll provide you with the list of things that we're asking school districts to report. You will find that there is no personal family information requested or required on this list.
As of now.
Why would we?
Because in that same one, I have it here that you have 61 data points that you're gathering by DESE now. And so that's the 61 that you're going to provide for us coming up, correct?
We'll give you the list.
And there's 61 of them. That's by your last testimony was. And then I have here that Missouri will send, when in the agreement that we have with the Smarter Balance Assessment Consortium, Missouri will send any assessment data request directly to the consortium. And then it goes on that we have an agreement with the U.S. Department of Education with the consortium to access any information deemed important, necessary, and they can share it with Homeland Security, Department of Defense, Department of Labor. Then I have...
What were you reading from, sir?
My notes that I've been taking. And then we talked about FERPA laws, and there have been 9 changes since 1974 that were voted on by Congress. But since then, Secretary Duncan has changed the law without the Congress, and it changes it from gathering only aggregate data information in schools to individualized student information, family, teacher, principals, and data. Now you have a request for a proposal by DESE submitted in 2011 for a new student information system. Is that correct?
We have a state information system that's been in place. We've been expanding. The primary expansion that we've done in the last few years is the establishment of the portal, which is on our website, and it's nothing more than a repository of the aggregated data that we currently have, and we've made it available to schools and districts and parents and the public so that people can see and organize the data that they want to get. So for example, if you want to see how every elementary school in the state of Missouri did on 4th grade mathematics assessment, you can look on the portal and run a report that would give you that information.
Does DESE manage this, or do they have a vendor that manages this?
I couldn't speak to that. We've worked with, on the IES grant, we did have some contracts with some folks who assisted us in putting that together. A good portion of that came from the University of Missouri. There may have been some others involved. I really don't know.
And based on the system that you adopted, there were, the vendor there had a list of 1,300 questions. It was like 59 pages. That we have the capacity to provide a variety of information. And in that list, I have things such as ID number, name, date, student profile, student ID, grade, lunch status, homeroom, social security numbers, phone numbers, counselors' names, student's nickname, address, unlisted address, alternative address, phone numbers, home, cell, work, auditorial, whether they're probationary, foster, student picture, parent information, occupation.
What are you reading from?
From the request proposal from DESE submitted in 2011 for a student information system. And then it has parent occupation, education, primary home language, after school pickup, A+ status as far as tutors trainings, tutor hours, pathway, 4-year plan indicator towards that career pathway, and so on and so on. And I'm just reading a couple of them. So can I have a guarantee from you that no information, not the intent to collect any individual information on students along that nature? Because I know that currently with Nicastro, that I'm familiar with writing IEPs, that they do ask some of those same questions.
Sir, I will give you the list, and you can see for yourself what we require.
Can I have a guarantee that this list will not expand to include individual information of the student, its parents?
Representative, our list comes from the laws that are passed. As I mentioned earlier, we just added to our list this year based on a change in state law. So it would be impossible for me to guarantee anything when we're driven by being responsive to the things that govern our activities.
So in other words, in order to do that, I need to pass something, correct?
We don't collect, I don't know what that list that you're reading from relates to, but I think the things, as I said earlier, the things that you are concerned about, that I hear you being concerned about, are not, it's not information that we would need. Or,
well, I'm not saying that you might need it, but maybe Homeland Security, Department of Education, Department of Labor, or any of those, they may need it. And you may collect it because it's not your intent.
You know, FERPA protects that data that cannot go into student level data to the feds, and it can't go to those other agencies. I would say there's a model piece of legislation from ALEC that's quite good on this data stuff that you might want to look at, that Oklahoma recently passed, and that just buttons down and states again very clearly what the guidelines are, and that might be something for you to look at.
Okay, that's my last line of questioning.
Did I catch it correctly that we have a company out of New York that's handling that data information?
yeah, I don't.
Okay.
See, McGraw-Hill,
Okay.
You know, CTB McGraw-Hill has been, they have a strong Missouri presence. They used to be based in Missouri. If they're not now, then I stand corrected. But the other two vendors that bid on this were ETS and Pearson.
Okay. Do you guys lay out the information that they're to collect? The data? Okay. So if that data shows up where it shouldn't, I mean, is that in your contract that they can't? Okay. So then the state would have recourse in that
Absolutely.
case? Okay. Thank you.
And we would pursue that very aggressively.
Well, you do know what would happen if that happened. You know, I mean, we'd have another Department of Revenue, and then we'd be dealing with funding issues in your district, I mean, in your department. So I would hope that you really keep a close handle on that.
We're talking about our kids.
Right.
Yeah.
I know, I understand, and that's why I'm saying that. You know, I like to put money into our state. You know, now McGraw-Hill may have been located here at one time, but if they're not here, I mean, that concerns me that we use out-of-state companies with in-state funds. You know, because that's not helping our economy in this state at all. You know. So we have a lot more control, I think, over in-state companies when we start using local companies. So, and I understand what you're saying. It's about the kids, and I think you would be concerned about that as well. All right, Representative Curtis.
Are we done with this line of questions?
Yes, I'm through, yeah.
Good deal. I just had, I wanted to do a formal request to ask for the state courts and the, I guess the IT department for the state to come in, since we're looking for efficiency and improvement and all of that.
You want to ask them a question?
No, that was just something on the side, but I wanted to make sure that I got it in before we wrapped up.
Okay, all right. Does anyone have any other questions? Okay, since there aren't any other questions, I want to thank you for coming. I know it's been
Very welcome.
my pleasure. Just you know, we're all here for the same reasons.
We absolutely
So-
are, and I really appreciate the time and the attention that you all are spending on this. We do all want the same thing for all of our kids, and your questions are exactly the kind of questions that I would hope that the legislature would be asking, and I know that those are the questions your constituents expect you to ask. Back to something you said earlier, Mr. Chairman, I think none of us are afraid to go back. I think the key here is that if the things that we do don't bring about the positive results that we expect, then it's our obligation to go back and look at it again. And that's what we're doing right now. We think while schools have done a good job in Missouri, and we've been pleased with the incremental progress we've seen, I would never say that public schools in Missouri are not doing a good job. They can do better, and we know they can do better, and we know our kids can too. So that's what we're doing.
Well, and I think that's the attitude that we want to see, because there's no disgrace in that. It's all about the results. And so if you have to step back, then that's what has to happen. Okay, if there aren't any other questions, I want the committee to, we're through. If you all have anything else? Again, thank you for coming.